Good morning. Hello and shalom, everyone in Germany and in Israel. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. My name is Carsten Ovens, and I'm the CEO of the European Leadership Network, short ELNET, for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And I'm delighted, even though it's a very, very sad situation, but very delighted nonetheless to welcome all of you who joined us this morning for the Israel Solidarity Forum of the German Economy. We gather today to inform about what happened on October the 7th, to express our solidarity with our friends, partners, colleagues in Israel, and also to discuss what the German economy can do to help Israel, to help the people in Israel, and to help the economy in Israel. With the massive terror attacks on October 7th, Hamas started an unseen war against Israel with crimes against humanity, killing almost 1,400 civilians, taking hostages, more than 240 civilians that have been brought into Gaza. About half almost has been released, fortunately, but still many people are missing without any signal about their condition, about where they are, and if there is a chance to get them back. And until then, nonetheless, the terrorists in Gaza, Hamas, has continued to fire rockets on Israeli civilians, on villages, on cities. I just returned from Israel yesterday, and we saw it with our own eyes and hands and perceived it, how it is to live and work from the bunk shelter. More than 11,000 rockets have been fired since October the 7th, and it's still ongoing. Even more, I'm delighted that for today's forum, we have more than 40 institutional partners from Germany and Israel, industry associations, like labor associations that joined us today to work together for a better future. In particular, I'd like to thank the Trade Mission in Munich, in person Doron Hemo and Wiebke Fischer, who were very helpful to set this event up, in particular with the Ministry of Economy in Israel and the Minister of Economic in Israel. And I'd also like to thank our partners at Startup Nation Central, in particular CEO Avi Hassan, who will take the floor later on. And last but not least, I'd like to thank in particular our partners at the Israel Innovation Institute. While we speak, we're working on a large-scale research project to find out in detail what the Israeli economy, in particular the young and striving startup scene, needs and how we can support them best. And so this forum today will indeed also influence and inspire this study that will be published early next year and that will be distributed also with all our partners that gathered today. So again, thank you very much for joining us this morning. And without further ado, it's my honor and my personal pleasure to welcome Nir Barkat for the State of Israel, the Minister of Economy and Industry, and former mayor of the city of Jerusalem. Minister Barkat, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Carsten, the CEO of ELNET Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. It's an honor to be here, and I want to start off by thanking the German people, the Chancellor, the Vice Chancellor, and the people of Germany that are standing beside Israel and supporting an unprecedented way. We do not take it for granted, and we're very, very thankful. As you mentioned, Mr. Carsten, we went through atrocities that are beyond our worst imagination. And I don't know of any family in Israel that is not engaged and involved in somebody that was murdered or taken hostage or wounded. And we're at war. Now, the war is not only Israel's war. We're talking about jihadi, ISIS, radical people, that their goal is to kill all non-Muslims. It's to wipe us all off the map. We're on the same line. Israel, Europe, the United States, Jews, non-Jews, all of us. And we need to, and we will win this war, not just for the benefit of Israel, that we cannot allow to have a neighbor that wants to kill us and wipe us off the map, and does such atrocities in the past, and will do that in the future if they had the opportunity. And so while we're at war, and we're going to win this one, for sure, I'd like to expand a little bit on our economy. because eventually I believe this is what you're probably interested to see. So we went into the war with a really strong economy. Our debt to GDP was around 60%, one of the lowest in Europe, the lowest in the world, and shrinking. The debt was relative to the GDP is shrinking. The war is going to cost us a few points. We maybe get up to 150, maybe even 200 billion shekels, which could be up to 10 points, 10%, 10 points of the GDP, if this war continues the way it is for a few more months. But Israel knows how to recover after every war. We also know how our tech sector, which is our catalyst, if you'd like, the engine of the train, the high-tech sector practically does not lose a day of delivery. From my experience, I was also an entrepreneur and a combat officer in the paratroopers in the first Intifada. We know there's redundancy in the way we work. The high-tech sector and our economy works. And we understand that we have to make all of our businesses survive the war. We've just put a number of incentives and a capital to work for the benefit of companies that have lost a bit of business. People are relatively quite happy. There's still some gaps, but I believe that we're going to make our economy survive the hardest part, which is probably behind us. You see the market recover. And beyond that, what my strategy is for Israel is focus on the global marketplace. I've been to Germany 3 to 4 months ago, met with Vice Chancellor Habeck, the Minister of Economy and Climate and Action, and we discussed our common interests. Let me share the 6 major export clusters that Israel has. The first is classic high-tech, B2B, B2C, a lot of companies that are focusing on a classic software. Then we have Industry 4.0, lots of companies that are focusing on chips and how do we make production in the industry much better. A lot of software, a lot of hardware. This is something really up the alley in that Germany is very interested in. Then we have health tech and life sciences. Maybe I take a step back. There are about 10,000 startups in Israel. 10,000, which is 1 to 1,000 people. For every 1,000 residents, there's one innovative startup, which is the highest in the world. In health and life sciences alone, there are 1,800 companies and startups really looking at how to make a better world, and we have a good, strong competitive advantage in that cluster. Then we have agro-tech and food tech. We have desert tech and climate change. And of course, we have homeland security, which is probably going to be one of their growing clusters in the near future, immediately after we finish Hamas off the map. So those 6 clusters, the way we're organizing our economy is we're going to be dramatically improving and boosting our ability to help our entrepreneurs go global. When I was speaking both in Bavaria and in Berlin and in Munich, I basically proposed that because Germany is by far the largest economy in Germany, proposed Germany to become a hub in many, many ways for young entrepreneurs that just started off doing their business. They're most probably going to go to the US to do business there as the size of the economy. And then if you have to choose where to start in Europe, our recommendation is probably going to be, if you're in the cluster of health, life sciences, high tech, or industry or 4.0, look at Germany as a sort of a hub. And let's develop the relationship, collaboration funds, additional incentives that for an entrepreneur in Israel, if he has to open shop in Europe somewhere, propose Germany as a destination. And the fact that there's good government-to-government relationships and there is good support from people to people, we see this as you stand next to Israel. I believe that we could develop those relationships into the future because Israel's a tiny state. Remind you that we're less than 10 million people, which is 1 to 1,000. And we really need to do a lot of business globally. That's our goal. And the relationship with Germany is certainly one of the most important ones we have. So we're looking at India in the Far East. We're looking at Morocco and Africa. And Germany has the potential of being the biggest and largest hub for Israeli entrepreneurs, which is a classic win-win strategy. We know that because of political changes in the world, in the global marketplace, there are challenges. Germany is challenged by China and other industrial giants, and the alignment of interest between Israel and Germany and the United States and other countries is in the critical path of our future. So let me again thank you for the opportunity to speak. I know that I have a few friends from Israel speaking after me, Ron Tomer and the other friends, and I'm looking forward to doing more and more business with Germany, and on behalf of all of Israeli people, thank you for the support from the bottom of my heart.
Minister Bakat, Toda Rabba, vielen Dank. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. I know it's challenging times for all of you in the cabinet, in the Israeli government, for all people in Israel, and even more, it's appreciated that you're taking the time this morning to give us an insight and inspire us what is needed. And we are there to help. And I know you're in touch with Elnet's office in Israel, and also our colleague Genoveva Barrios, who is in charge for the German-Israeli Network of Startups and Mittelstand, short GINSUM, which was established in 2020 with the support of the German government and in close cooperation with so many partners in Israel to do exactly that, to support these connections, to build bridges between the innovation hub that is outstanding around the world and the backbone of the German industry, of the German economy. So again, Minister Bakat, thank you very much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, dear all, we will continue with our program, and next it's my pleasure. We will remain in Israel with our next keynote. After the political keynote, we will now switch to the industry side, and I'm delighted to welcome Dr. Ron Tomer, who is the president of the Israeli Manufacturers Association, and he will give us more insights in depth about the situation of the economy in detail before we then switch to the German business keynote. So, Dr. Tomer, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Karsten, and thank you. Welcome all the colleagues. I would not list you by the name. A pleasure being this very important forum, and I want to thank Elnet for actually establishing it. And definitely I'm going to start with great appreciation to Germany and the German people for its unconditional support for Israel, always, but definitely after these atrocities and this war that have started due to the I don't even have a word how to describe it better than atrocity that Hamas started on the 7th of October. Iron Sword War actually is not something that we were looking for, not something that we've planned, but when the happening happened, we have to react, and Israel actually decided this is the right time, and we're going to fight, and we're going to change the world, and we're going to change the situation with the Palestinian people, in order that we'll take off all these wrong radical people, and we're going to start work with those who will be partners, I hope, in the future for different kind of relationship between our people as well. Germany have shown great support to Israel. The Chancellor Steinmeier actually visited Israel and visited the south itself, and saw in his eyes. He became president of the German Bundestag, and went down to the south of Israel, physically looking and speaking and see the extent of those atrocities I mentioned before. Chancellor Scholz, of course, and Prime Minister Baerbock arrived to Israel, all of them a few days or weeks after the 7th of October, showing the great appreciation for the relationship between the countries and that support. Germany is one of Israel's most prominent partner in Europe, and I must say that a close ally and friend and support, and we have great business on industrial products and others with Germany, and of course considered to be main partner in cyber, biotech, renewable energies, food tech, and many more areas to come. R&D as well. We have a lot of joint venture in R&D and some R&D centers for German companies like BMW and Deutsche Telekom and other. And this, of course, shows the good relationship between both of our countries. Israel is a strong country. And even after these terrible months, I can say that the economy will continue. And we are resilient and adaptable to any change in any situation. And we always say that Israel will deliver no matter what. And although what happened over the last months, as we have to admit, came as a surprise to us. We're not planning some wars, you have some escalation, and then you can get ready for those. Those was a great surprise. Still, we will deliver. And I think that the last month shows that Israel delivers. I speak with many of our exporters, and despite all the difficulties that the Iron Sword War actually affecting businesses, they deliver. Maybe with a small delay, but the Israeli industry actually recovered somewhere between the second and the third week post the 7th of October, and now is working almost to the full capacity. Yes, we have many issues to solve. Of course, we are short of manpower. We have a few 100,000 of people reservists. We have some industries in the areas that was directly affected. But we as in the Manufacturing Association and the government, with a very good collaboration with Minister Barkat and its Ministry of Economy and Industry, which working extremely well during this time, have established all the answers and all the solutions needed for those industries and other businesses to keep on working. Because at the end, we have a strong army and we have a strong defense system, but we need, again, the home front is important as well. And for us, the economy-driven people like the Israeli industries have actually the obligation to make the home front strong and resilient as well. All I can say that despite of all and despite the fact that we deliver, we are striving actually to increase businesses as well and to show the world that those who want to hurt Israel, not only that they will not be able to hurt us, but we will grow further and continue further. And I can urge all the colleagues here from Germany and Israel as well to do what they can do to the utmost to increase every collaboration. Now, this will be the sign of victory. The sign of victory will show that actually, despite everything, we are strong. Economy will be hurt, of course, for the short term, but will grow for the long term. And the good business relationship between Israel and Germany, of course, will keep on proliferating and growing. On the civil businesses as well as on the defense industries, which now have actually very close ties with the German industries as well. The Israeli Manufacturing Association actually represents all 2,000 large industries in Israel. Yes, Israel is a small country, so 2,000 industries actually covers almost all of the Israeli industry from all different sectors, from food tech to construction, chemistry, pharmaceuticals, and of course high-tech as well. And therefore, we'll be in touch with everyone that can actually increase those collaboration, and we thank our colleagues from the German Manufacturing Association and other business forum actually to show their actually acceptance and to show their partnership in order to try to increase that. I want to thank you again for this forum. I can assure you that with all difficulties, as I said before, Israel will deliver and the Israeli export will not be affected. And I'm sure that together, Israel, Germany, and with our other good partners in the world, we can show these horrible terrorists, people call them animals. I would say animals is actually not giving them even some how to say, it's not even an animal act what they've done. It's a non-human, non-acceptable things. We can show them that we're going to win. We're going to win by our army, and we're going to win by a home front in our economy. And again, thank you for all collaboration. Thank you.
Toda rabba, Dr. Tomer, for this keynote, and I can only confirm and support what you just said. I mean, we see it with our own eyes, with all the different companies that we work with across our innovation program, the GINSAM program, that all of them, no matter what, are trying their very best and are working hard to continue to deliver. So thank you very much for enforcing this, and I am sure we will continue to collaborate. Thank you. So it's my pleasure now to hand over to the first German keynote, which will be Dr. Claudius da Costa Gomez, who is the co-managing director of the German Renewables Energy Federation. Dr. da Costa Gomez, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear representatives of the economies of Israel and Germany, dear colleagues. The Israel Solidarity Forum of the German economy is a good example of Israeli-German friendship in times of global crisis. The German society has a historic responsibility to stand behind Israel and difficult times, in these difficult times. Despite the war and numerous challenges for Israel's economy, we see Israeli companies as strong partners, and we heard this just before. We, that is the German Renewable Energy Federation with its 50 members associations, together with we represent the German renewable innovative powerhouse of medium-sized companies, 30,000 individual members and 5,000 companies. Since 1991, it's our goal to reach 100% renewable energy within the sectors electricity, heating, and mobility. We will only accomplish this transformation if we take all renewable energies into account. This includes wind, solar, hydropower, geothermal energy, biogas, wood energy, liquid biofuels, and heat pumps. In addition to reaching climate neutrality, expanding renewable energies improves social aspects. It creates jobs to provide people with long-term prospects and secure our prosperity. But the most important aspect of renewable energies is the fact that they create independence. The climate crisis remains a major challenge that hardly any economy has yet mastered. In Israel, the share of fossil fuels in the total energy supply is still high. However, the commitment is strong. This year, a climate law was presented for the first time with the aim of reducing greenhouse gas emissions to net zero by 2050. Germany has big plans on the road to climate neutrality and strives to become a hub for renewable innovation. Decarbonizing our industry will be one of the biggest challenges. But within this challenge lies the opportunity to become leader in renewable energy technologies. The production of semiconductors and the further technological development of electrolyzers are just two examples of rapid innovation and development. In my view, the strong startups ecosystem and digital economy of Israel and Germany's ambitious strategy for technology development and rollout of renewable energy can be the core of the collaboration between our two countries. Let us forge new alliances and review old bonds between our societies along the lines of digital and renewable economies. Further collaboration between the Israeli and German startup scene will create new prosperity, excellence, and independence. I would like to thank the employees of the European Leadership Network who brought this event to life. It is an important sign of solidarity with Israel. Let us learn more by the other speakers about the resilience of Israel's economy, the cooperation with German companies that already exists. Let us continue to work for our productive, peaceful cooperation between the economies of Israel and Germany and the future of renewables. I wish all of us a day of solid friendship. Thank you very much.
Vielen Dank, Dr. da Costa Gomez, for this keynote for the German industry. And I know that your association is indeed very much active and in touch with Israeli partners and finding ways to cooperate. And as you mentioned, Germany is an innovative industrial place with thousands of companies that strive for innovation, and Israel for sure has many dynamics that it offers, and there are so many potentials where we can collaborate for the benefit of both industries, of both nations. So thank you very much again for joining us for this opening business keynote from the German perspective. So this was the first third of our forum this morning, and I'm very delighted to hand over now again back to Israel, to Tel Aviv, to our partners at Startup Nation Central. We are proud to have this close collaboration within the German-Israeli network of startups and Mittelstand, Ginsum, already for many years. Many business delegations that Elnet brought to Israel over the past couple of years, before and after Corona, have been hosted by them, and they are the entrance door to the Israeli innovation ecosystem, to the startup ecosystem. So it's my very pleasure to give the floor to Avi Hassan, who is the CEO of Startup Nation Central. Welcome, Avi. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the warm words, and thank you also for the entire Elnet team for organizing this solidarity event and for the whole partnership that, as you said, has been going successfully for the past few years. We are joining you this morning from Startup Nation Central offices in central Tel Aviv. I'm very especially pleased to have with me Adi Ofek, the CEO of the Mercedes-Benz R&D Center in Tel Aviv, and we will speak in a few minutes about your experience and what's happening on the ground right here. But before we start our discussions, I wanted to share really with the audience a little bit of what's happening in Israel, and specifically in the tech sector in the past 2 months. In the aftermath of Hamas' brutal attacks on Israel, we've really seen the high-tech sector stepping up and showing its resilience and business continuity. The fountain of innovation hasn't stopped. The engine of the ecosystem is working. Startups are innovating, pivoting, products are delivered, deadlines are met, new companies are being formed, and mergers and acquisition deals are happening. This all in very dire circumstances. Besides the emotional toll, there are practical implications that the war has put upon the sector. To mention just a couple of them, we estimate that 15% of the workforce has been enlisted to active reserve duty. That, of course, is putting extra burden on the people that have stayed, which are stepping up to the challenge. But also in terms of funding, when we look into the Israeli startups, there are practical challenges on completing rounds of financing or starting that process of financing that have certainly required both government, mostly the Israel Innovation Authority, but also private initiatives, including some in which Startup Nation Central is involved, to come up with emergency funding vehicles to bridge those months, but also to proactively approach investors in Europe, Germany, but also the US and other parts, to make those connections and connect them to the great opportunities that we see in Israel. Let me just state what I guess our knowledgeable audience is aware of. High-tech is the business plan of the country. It constitutes of 18% of our GDP. That's twice the share in the US, 3 times the share in the EU. Half of our export is high-tech. 30% of the income taxes paid in this country is high-tech, making it especially and strategically important to follow up what my good friend Ron talked about in the economic battlefront. High-tech really is one of the most important battle positions. And that is exactly why at Startup Nation Central, we double down our effort to work with the hundreds and thousands of startups and help them make those business connections, reaching out to investors, and so on. High-tech does have also, I don't know if silver lining is the word, but some positive elements to it. Unlike other sectors, like tourism as an example, the demand side hasn't been hurt. The Israeli high-tech serves the global market. Global consumers and enterprises are still interested in consuming what Israeli high-tech can offer. So as long as we can meet the delivery, as long as we can show the resilience, the demand will be there. And that is indeed good news. To that, we can add the devaluation of the shekel, which might have mixed message for the economy, but for the high-tech companies, this is actually helpful. Because while the revenues and the funding come in euros or dollars, most of the expenses are in shekels. But what we have seen, and we'll be hearing more from Adi, is really that resilience of the high-tech sector, that determination of the people staying to keep on delivering, no matter what. Many times ahead of schedule. You know, NVIDIA just announced launching the new supercomputer in Israel based on the work of the Israeli development team 2 months ahead of schedule, really showing that determination to continue working. And the last point I will mention before we move to our discussion is the amazing support that we have been seeing from leaders of multinational companies, from the global investor community, really showing their support and confidence in the Israeli tech sector and putting us a lot of hope on what we can do in the day after. With that, I want to move really to our guest at the end. First of all, thank you for coming. It's always good to meet you. Not the first time, as I'm sure you can guess. You know, Israel is a small place.
Definitely.
So as I said, you are the CEO of the Mercedes-Benz R&D Center in Tel Aviv. You also have a global responsibility with regards to everything that it has, the car IT security. But I just want to start by asking you, you know, the past 2 months have been obviously challenging for all of us. Can you share some of your experience within the center, the change of activities, the impact that you have been seeing?
So maybe I'll start by sharing what I think we've also heard before. It wasn't easy on us. The first few days were extremely shocking. Of course, we all unfortunately got used to it over time. But the support we got from Mercedes-Benz is just unbelievable. And it made us stronger, and it's inspiring. And me, but all the employees in the center in Tel Aviv, feel really blessed to be working in a company that has the values that Mercedes-Benz has and the people that care so much. We've received so many phone calls, emails from all over the company, all over the world, from people we knew and people we didn't, all management levels. They've done also a beautiful collage of "We support you and we stand with Israel," all the way from the board of management all through to employees. So we received this collage. Mercedes-Benz donated €1 million. Ola Kalenius posted an amazing and inspiring post. The company knew that it would be challenging to have such a post, but that's Mercedes-Benz. This company is about values. And they said, we believe that's what's right to do. Ola felt that was what was right to do. And they went ahead and posted. And, you know, we had a week after October 7th, we were supposed to host a global car IT security workshop in Tel Aviv to strategize. We really were expecting people from all over the world for this workshop. And when we realized, okay, no one can come, we Israelis— You had to
cancel, right? Huh? You had to cancel.
Yeah, but we Israelis, we don't cancel, right? So we said, we're going to move to remote. So I talked to my counterpart in Germany. I said, we have to prepare in case there are sirens while we are doing the workshop that you can hand over. He said, okay. So we organized everything and, you know, the playbook of how to run the workshop, everything was ready. And then I had a call with him to prepare him. And he says, Adi, are you crazy? Do you realize what just happened in Israel? The people in Germany, they don't believe you want to go ahead and have a remote workshop in this condition. So that, I think it's a nice example to show how we Israelis operate under a stressful situation, but also how many caring people we have at Mercedes-Benz in Germany and around the world that really can see through this. And we decided to postpone. And postponing was absolutely the right decision, because if we had to think about it, we were all shaken by the events. So to have such a strategic workshop just a week after the war has started was not the right thing to do.
Sure. No, and again, I think the story you've been telling is a remarkable one, obviously. Right. We have seen similar support, but I think the Mercedes-Benz example stands out. But let's talk about the specific challenges, because the situation is challenging. Can you share with the audience some of the realities that you had to go to and some of the mitigation or the contingency and business continuity plan that you put in place?
So I just remembered, I'm with Mercedes-Benz for 23 years, various roles. And when I was heading the financial services company in Korea, I remember there was a time where there was tension with North Korea. So I was sitting with my management team and we were strategizing the business continuity of our company in Korea if something happens. So my management team in Korea says, okay, let's think about scenarios. So what will happen if North Korea will shoot missiles? Maybe we will not be able to operate for a few months. And I'm like, a few months? We've had a few wars in Israel up till now. It was never more than a few days that we were not operational. They looked at me as though I'm crazy. And that's how, Avi, you know that's how we're used to managing those challenges when they come, right? A few days and then we're back in business. But to be very honest, this war is different than the rest for me and for many of us. It took me time. It took me time to be focused, inspired, to do the best. So I think the first week, we never stopped working. So we worked through, but if you ask me, the productivity on the first, let's say 1 or 2 weeks was not good. We were even talking, we have I always say there's nothing more important than our inner compass, right? So I'm like, okay, but am I doing whatever I can for work and the employees as well? And we were talking about that very openly. So we were all not at our best in the first 2 weeks. But then slowly it shifted. And work for us is a blessing. People come to the office. The office now is almost completely full. And it's a place we cherish because we are able to create at work. And it's like a capsule where we don't have to think about all the pain that we're all going through, the pain, the concern, and the fear as a country.
That's true. By the way, I've been hearing the same from both founders and CEO of startup companies as well as leaders of multinational companies. Interestingly enough, you talked about your experience from Korea. I heard from several Israeli companies that the experience gained in the Russia-Ukraine war, because there were 20,000 tech employees working for Israeli companies prior to the war. And when the war started out, they needed to do that prioritization, shifting of tasks. And some of the plans that were perfected during that time are actually being implemented in addition, as you said, to the unfortunate but real experience that we've had from prior round of conflicts.
Right. And with the business continuity, so we, of course, I asked my team in Tel Aviv, okay, let's prioritize our tasks based on critical, business continuity critical, and important but not urgent. And we created a full, documentation of what needs to be done. And for the critical, we had our counterparts in Germany to be able to take over if worst case scenario, and really we are not able to be operational for, let's say, more than 1 month. That was a bit, at the beginning, my team in Israel was like, are you sure? I said, yeah, I trust 100% that's the right thing that we need to do for the company. We did it. Thank God we never had to use it.
But share with us, in the same, and I appreciate the openness, because obviously a multinational company, has a business to run.
Yeah.
And while I know there's a lot of appreciation to the Israeli cited capabilities and impact on your business, when you think into 2024, do you see any change in the way, the mothership, the headquarters look at the Israeli site? What sort of signals are you hearing?
Only positive. So we have plans, our budgets are set for next year exactly as we projected them to be. There was never a hint of doubt as to the operation here in Israel. And on the contrary, we continue to plan ahead to develop the business that we're in, which is cybersecurity for the car. Everything is absolutely in the same manner as it was before the war.
And maybe
with a very strong heart on the German side with us.
Yeah, and I think several speakers have really mentioned what we've all experienced. which is an unbelievable support of the
Yeah.
German people, the German leaders,
Unbelievable.
companies, and so on. It is notable. Actually,
Yeah.
it's not, and it's highly appreciated. I can tell our audience
It's a gift.
on our side.
It's a gift.
But maybe we add to that, just since we have you here, not just with regards to the war, but also in general, how the headquarters looks at these sites. What are sort of are there any unique attributes that are assigned here, and so on?
In Tel Aviv, we designed the security architecture for all our future vehicles. We do proactive identification and mitigation of vulnerabilities for vehicles on the road. It is instrumental within the global car IT security landscape. We are at the core of car IT security for Mercedes-Benz. And we're really, one of the things I say is when you deal with cybersecurity, it's cutting across all the different divisions in research and development at Mercedes-Benz. So we really are in contact with so many, with all the divisions in Germany and around the world. So we are like a focal point that works with everyone, with high level of trust. There are the things we do in Israel. There is no duplicate function for
Like
in
a
other
strategic
places.
center of excellence.
Right. So whatever we do, of course, we never work alone. You cannot do these things alone in a complex system like a car. But there are topics that we lead out of Tel Aviv. There are topics that the Germans lead, then they lead, but each one or each function has its own responsibility and they work hand in hand. So it's,
And again, let me just say what I'm sure you know, but there are 450 companies that have, multinational companies that have R&D innovation centers in Israel. And also, I think the Mercedes-Benz example is also something that in which Israel does not have a legacy. We're not a car manufacturing
Right.
powerhouse.
right.
But when the car became digital, autonomous, and connected, all of a sudden,
Right.
a lot of the capabilities and technologies that exist in this
Right.
space are there. And not for our conversation today, but one of the things that we've been seeing in the war is actually a new wave of innovation based on the new challenges that are being posed to us. And again, we've seen that in the past. So, and unfortunately, throughout the challenges, we've seen the high-tech sector mobilize its people and capabilities to try to tackle those challenges. And I think a lot of them are going to translate into some of the best companies of the next decade.
Absolutely. I remember we visited once one of the pilots that worked for us, and in his base, there was a beautiful slogan that says, "The difficult we do right away. Impossible just takes us a little bit longer." So from a mindset perspective, as you say, as a country, we're always challenged. And from those challenges, amazing innovation emerges, which now we're able to share globally. And cybersecurity is a topic with a lot of purpose, right? Because for us at Mercedes-Benz, trust is part of our identity. So making sure we do absolutely everything we can to secure our cars, our customers, and their data is essential for us. So to be able from Israel to contribute to that from a really society perspective is inspiring and is a blessing.
I want to ask you a personal question, if that's
Sure,
okay.
of course.
Because you mentioned that you've been in a company for a while, and you are a global citizen,
I am.
right?
Yeah.
You talked about Korea. I know about your time in Singapore.
Yeah.
Which honestly, you could probably live wherever you want, and
Right.
the company or other companies can offer you opportunities, and I'm sure that you've been asked,
I have.
especially in the past 2 months. I mean, why here?
My time in Asia was 9 years. And Mercedes-Benz for me is much more than just a company. It's my home. I care for the people and I care for the brand. But when I got back home to Israel to set up the R&D center here in Tel Aviv, I felt my heart is coming home. And that's where I need to be. And actually, one of my colleagues in Germany asked me a couple of weeks ago. We had a call. He said, "I really need to ask you the same question you asked me. You can move anywhere so easily. Why don't you? This is where I feel I need to be.
Thank you very much for that. Let me just say, we talk about the ecosystem, but at the end of the day, the main asset that we have here in Israel is the human capital. And we see just one great example with Adi, and thank you for that. But I do want to leave us with a message that all of us in the ecosystem of innovation know that the most important thing for us is collaboration. None of us is smart enough, rich enough, powerful enough to achieve its goals. And by the way, the challenges we're all confronting are global. Be it fighting a climate change, global pandemics, or global terrorism, which is a global phenomena. And only through collaboration can we succeed, really to help both economies, but also humanity move forward. And it's a spirit of collaboration that entails the event that we are here. And for that, we're grateful. I do encourage you to reach out to Startup Nation Central with all your needs, all your desires, everything that is around engaging and creating that collaboration, because through that, I think, we can not just hope for better days, but actually go out there and make them better days by our own. So thank you once again. Thank you for the event. Thank you for the solidarity.
Toda rabba. Thank you so much, Avi and Adi, to Tel Aviv, for this inspiring but also heartwarming dialogue that we were allowed to listen and to follow. And it was just wonderful, if I may say so, Adi, to hear your personal story about what you said, working not only for an amazing German company, but going home, bringing your heart home and working there for Mercedes-Benz in Israel to support the global innovation of one of the most traditional and well-known car manufacturers that we have in Germany. And knowing that it runs with Israeli entrepreneurial and innovation spirit is just a wonderful best practice of collaboration between Israel and Germany. So toda rabba, vielen Dank. Thank you very much, both of you, for sharing these insights and also personal perspectives. Well, we will now move on to the third part and last part of the Israel Solidarity Forum of the German Economy, which is a panel discussion. And I'm delighted and glad that I can hand over to a good friend, Liron Glickman, who is the CEO of the Human Factor. She just toured Europe for a couple of weeks, promoting collaboration between Israel, the innovation sector of Israel, and all over Europe. But I know that she's also very dedicated to contribute to the relations between Germany and Israel. So Liron, you will introduce your panel, which consists of German and Israeli representatives. So without further ado, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Karsten, and to all of the Elnet team, and hello, everyone. The last panel was actually an amazing segue to our panel, which we called Stronger Together, because collaboration, this human working with human, people working with people from different countries and cultures and businesses, this is what we're going to talk about. And in this panel discussion, it's going to be revolve around the concept of, as I call it, the Tachlis collaboration. Kind of, first of all, to understand what can we do between the German Mittelstand and corporations to Israeli innovation sector, especially after October 7th event, and understand the current business climate. We will outline the opportunities that lie within collaborative efforts, identify some pressing needs, and outline actionable steps to facilitate, to increase collaboration. And hopefully even many of you could take some actionable tips to work by after this session. So without further ado, I'm really honored to present Mr. Ulf Kampfer, Mayor of Kiel, the city in Germany, and President of German Association of Local Public Utilities, VKU. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. We have Mr. Jürgen Mindel, Managing Director of the German Association of the Automotive Industry, VDA. We have Ms. Danielle Abraham, which is the Executive Director of the Volcani International Partnership, an NGO which works to strengthen Israel's standing a global leader as an agriculture innovation. And Mr. Shlomi Kaufman, the VP and Head International Collaborations Division in the Innovation Authority in Israel, and also Director of the Israeli Association of the Horizon Europe Program. So there is so much we want to know from you. We have limited time and some hopefully great question. So I want to start, Phyllis, with you, Danielle Abraham. Let's get down into the field, as they say. So if you can tell us briefly about the role of the Israeli South agriculture and what you're currently doing to regenerate it using innovation after the October 7th events.
Definitely, and thank you so much to Elnet for the invitation to be here and contribute, and for all of you standing in solidarity. So the role of agriculture in the Israeli South, there are three critical elements here, and I want to walk you through each in turn so you get a sense. It's critical on an individual and communal level. It's critical on a national level for the state of Israel, and it's critical also on a global level. Let's start with the individual and community level. You have to understand that these attacks on the 7th of October, the communities that took the brunt of the attack were agricultural farming communities. They not only lost loved ones and their homes, but they lost their livelihoods and their businesses. You know, we've estimated they've lost about $500 million in lost income without even touching upon the damages and the cost that it's going to take to rebuild. And in the week after the attack, they said to me, Danielle, you have to understand that unless we rebuild the agriculture, there will be no foundation upon which to rebuild back the communities that live here. We are farmers. On the national level too, this area of the Western Negev is critical for Israel's food security and food supply. It's producing about 70% of the vegetables that we consume, 20% of the fruit, and even about 6.5% of the dairy. So there's been huge disruption in the food supply chain here in Israel. And also on the global level, and this also speaks to Germany, we talk about Israeli agricultural innovation. Everyone knows Israel made the desert bloom. Well, this is where we made it bloom. This is the Western Negev. And right now, it's not blooming so much anymore. And this is on the front lines of climate resilient agriculture. So the question is, what are we doing about it? In the aftermath of the attack, together with all of our partners in the South, we've established a fund called Regrow Israel. What's special about the fund is we brought all the necessary players together for innovation, the farmers, the experts, and the agri-tech companies themselves. And we're going to be focusing on three key innovations. And with that, I'll end the answer. The first is automation. You've probably read about it. We've had 7,000 foreign workers flee the country. The farmers are in crisis, the businesses, they don't have any hands to actually work the farm. Now we can look at bringing in other labor, and we must look to innovation. And there's a huge wealth of innovation here in robotics and automation. So we're looking at automating the cow sheds, the greenhouses, the packing houses across the board. The second element is environmental. I don't know how much you know about soil, but the Hamas attacks, the tanks, and using it as a military staging ground for a war is not good for the soil. There's a huge amount of rehabilitation that has to take place, looking at regenerative agricultural practices. And don't forget, this is on the edge of the desert. So these are cutting edge innovations that we're implementing and developing. And finally, there's the element of profitability, going back to the business case. This area was used to growing field crops predominantly. And what's much more valuable are fruit tree crops. And what does it look like to do fruit tree crops in a desert environment? So these are three key innovation focuses of Regrow Israel, the fund. That's in response to what we've seen. And we do believe that we can not only rebuild to the level where we are, but the creative resilience we're seeing from our partners and farmers in the field, they are determined to rebuild and grow back stronger. So that's what we're doing.
Thank you so much, Danielle, for outlining that. And definitely agriculture is a main goal for us all, no matter where we are, and especially obviously in the Israeli South. As you said, this is one of the most critical areas for Israel's ability to survive. And with that in mind, I want to move to Mr. Shlomi Kaufman to get another angle of the Israeli situation at the moment. Now, Shlomi, you have been working in the past 25 years as Israeli diplomat and consul general in San Francisco, also New York, Washington, and you have a global view of the startup nation in many angles. And today, as an innovation from the Innovation Authority point of view, how do you navigate and prioritize support for Israel Tech's survival and growth while ensuring alignment with democratic principles and human rights values?
Well, thank you, Liran, and thank you, the whole Elnet team, and thanks for the invitation. And I also want to thank the over 100 people who are participating in this call and taking the time to listen to the event, and to all of us, which is which shows clearly the support and the interest that the people have in Israel. So maybe talking about the global view, I want to say two things. One, tech is industry, tech is jobs, but tech is much more than that. And tech is values, and tech is innovation, of course, and tech our strive for life, democracy, in changing things, making the world a better place. And I think when we come into what the Innovation Authority does, it acts based on these values. And when we come and invest in agrotechnologies, in climate technologies, in biodiversity, in convergence, in other areas, what we do is we basically act based on the values, and that's what connects us to the world, and that's why the world is connected so much to Israel. When the world is looking to Israel, it sees opportunities, it sees the companies, it sees the startups, but it also sees the values that we so much represent. And the best reflection and statement of the support to Israel is 800 startups, 800 VCs, which signed a letter of support to Israel from the United States and Europe. And I think that's the strongest statement to what we represent and what we do is right. And I would say maybe the last sentence, October 7th events and the tragic events, it's as some people put it, our 9/11. But I think that's not what's going to stop us. That's what's going to make us stronger. It's going to make our values stronger and our innovation stronger, and we will continue to strive. And that's why it's not a slogan, but it's a message, and which represents the value that the Israeli high tech will continue to deliver and will continue to strive. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And definitely your final words definitely articulates some of the values that innovation brings from Israel and also how the world view it. So thank you so much. Now, we heard about the Israeli landscape. I would like to learn more about the German landscape. I'm very honored to address the next question to Mr. Ulf Kampfer. So my question to you would be, what is the role of the Association of Local Public Utilities in the German economy? In what way does it utilize innovation? And how has it perceived Israeli innovation so far?
Yes, thank you. Dear partners and friends, so our association, we are representing 1,500 companies. We are providing basic services, energy supply, water supply, sewage, waste management, municipal cleaning, and telecommunications. So people really rely on us, their daily and basic needs, and we have more than 300,000 employees. So that is one part, the security of supply and resilience. And so there we have to be very innovative because there are a lot of new dangers. And the other part of where innovation is very, very important for us is climate protection and becoming climate neutral. Germany wants to be climate neutral in 2045. A lot of our members are much more ambitious. In Kiel, we want to be climate neutral in 2035. Other companies even want to become climate neutral in 2030. So we really have to be on the front line of innovation and green tech and other solutions. And so there are a lot of things for us to innovate. So local public utilities are not normally on the forefront of agile management. So we really are basic, and so security is a core value, and we have to learn, and we can learn a lot from Israel, from being innovative, being agile, and from being resilient. So there are two main parts how we perceive Israel. I had the chance 3 years ago to visit the Startup Nation and to visit the Smart City Convention in Tel Aviv. And we were really impressed. And I think the startup communities, we really envy you in that point. And so we really try in our municipalities to to get into contact and to work with startups. And so the innovation factor of that is very important for us. And we perceive Israel, yes, at the forefront of these innovative sectors, green tech, resilience, and other factors. So especially for our branch of business, I think Israel is really top of the class, and bringing resilience and robustness on one side and innovation and the startup mentality together. I think this mindset, this is really unique in Israel, and we are really eager to learn from you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kampfer. And I would like to continue with Mr. Jürgen Mindel. From your point of view, being the managing director of the German Association of the Automotive Industry, we all know German legacy obviously in the automobile industry, and the Israeli innovation has long been working with the industry. We just heard Adi Ofek from Mercedes-Benz R&D Center in Tel Aviv. But my question to you would be, what challenges do you see in the coming years for this industry that innovation will solve, and can there be a room for Israel innovation in solving some of those burning challenges?
Yeah, thanks to Yaron, and especially thanks to Carsten Ovens and the whole team from Elnet for organizing this important event 2 months after the barbaric attacks we've seen and the images who went around the world. A terrorist organization killing defenseless civilians, there should be no question how the world position itself. And this is why events like this are so much important in these days. And October 7th demonstrated in a frightening and sobering way that anti-Semitism, that openly displayed hatred against Jews, is a bitter and also a not uncommon reality in Germany too. The images from our streets, the relativizations, the hatred, the lies, and the incitement, and this in a country that has made never again the raison d'être of the state. This is just alarming, also as the lacks of the words, the silence, the shrugging of shoulders, the looking away. It's shameful. Germany is not living up to its responsibility. My Jewish friends tell me about their growing fear in everyday life, fear of speaking Hebrew in public, fear that others will notice that they are Jewish. Where's the outcry? Edmund Burke said once, "It is enough for the triumph of the evil that the good do nothing." A sentence that applies to all of us. We must oppose this terrible state of affairs with all our strength and tirelessly. We must be louder, we must be stronger, and we must be more persistent than those who spread hatred around the world. And coming to your question, as Adi Ofek has already explained, the cooperation between the German automotive industry and tech companies from Israel is strong and resilient. We will not stop working together to develop solutions for the future of mobility. And this includes 2 main topics. The question of how can we achieve the goal of climate neutral transportation, but even more the question of how can we make autonomous driving a reality. I am sure that the cooperation on these issues will lead to many more impressive innovations and will lead to a strong together between our 2 countries. Thank you, Yaron.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mindel. And what you started your speech with, I think, it's the foundation of everything, right? It's the understanding about our mutual will to work together, to be together on the right values and circumstances. So thank you so much for sharing this, your thoughts as well. My next question would be actually a practical, quick question to all of you. And this would be, what actions can each of you, from your perspective, take now to form business collaboration, or what actions can you recommend to take now to form business collaborations in the current climate after October 7th? So I would like our viewers basically to understand what can they do tomorrow to possibly work with the other market. So maybe we'll start with you, Danielle.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so I think we all know that they say necessity is the mother of all invention. Well, the necessity right now is great in the Western Negev. We have to rebuild and re-innovate and come up with solutions to these vast challenges that I think are really unprecedented in that sense and that scale after a conflict. I think there's two clear opportunities to my mind here. I think there's a very clear opportunity for investment into agricultural projects, operations, and development of new technologies and innovation. And second, I think there's a great opportunity for the technological collaboration itself, both from an R&D standpoint, all the way through to coming together to create new technological companies between Germany and Israel, to even piloting German technologies that could be relevant. And we'd be very happy for you all to reach out to us. If you come to Israel to come and visit us, we will take you together with our experts and the farmers to the field. I think there's nothing better than seeing firsthand the challenges to get the creative juices going to think, how can we take what we know, the innovation capacities that we have, and how do we solve this together? And I think many of the solutions that will be relevant here will also be relevant globally.
And that's a very important point as well. Thank you so much, Danielle. And Shlomi, what would be your actionable items, tips for our listeners and viewers?
So thank you, Liron. On my end, there are basically two things which I would ask, encourage, and I think are important. As it was mentioned earlier, Israel is also an association and member with Horizon Europe, and we had quite a significant number of joint projects that between Israel and Germany and German entities in various consortia within Horizon. But my ask is very simple. Try to have as many Israeli entities as you can within the consortiums that you run or lead or you're part of within the Horizon Europe program. There are enormous opportunities. Israeli companies and Israeli startups can be huge contributors to these consortiums with the knowledge that they're bringing. And I think this will be an amazing assistance and support to Israeli economy, to Israeli tech. And second, we invested, the Innovation Authority invested $100 million into various startups in order to support them and to make sure that they will continue to go through this period. And your interest in these startups, your continuing interest, especially as Daniel mentioned, in the Western Negev, but in the south that was so much affected. Looking at these startups, seeing them as investment opportunities, seeing them as partners will be great help. And last sentence, I just visited Berlin about 2 weeks ago and met with Elnet, of course, with Carsten and other friends. And I'm amazed to the extent of the support that you guys are extending to us. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Kempfer, what would be your tip?
Yes, I see for us, I see two fields of action. I think one thing is really to go back to business as soon as possible. So we have a self-interest to work with Israeli companies on the field of cybercrime, of digitalization, of infrastructure, and of green tech. So we want to go back to business. And I think on the other side, it would be a strong symbol. We shouldn't be the last, but maybe the first to come in person to Israel, to say it's a safe place, you can go there, you can visit each other. So I would really love, as a mayor or as the president of our association, to be head of a delegation as soon as possible, to show, yes, we can slowly but surely go back to normal, making business with Israel. And then we have, I think, an important role to play in Germany and in the German public and discussion. As Mr. Mindel said, yes, the authorities, they show strong support for Israel. But on the other side, we have a wave of anti-Semitism in Germany. And it's really a shame. And we really have to state our public support. We work with our 300,000 employees. But I think it was the speech of Robert Habeck for the solidarity, more than 50 million views on the internet. 50 million people saw this impressive speech. So we have, as as public persons, we have the possibility and the duty to stand with Israel. I, as a mayor, and our association, we took part in the question wall, the Fragemauer of Elnet, and there are a lot of ways to show the solidarity in the German public. And the minister Bakat, he spoke about Germany as a hub for Israeli startups and for companies. So that will, I would love that, but people from Israel have to be safe when they work and live in Germany. And so this is the other side, that we really have to care about that. For example, here in Kiel, we take pride that we build the submarines that are part of Israel's security system. And we, on a regular basis, we have dozens, sometimes hundreds citizens from the Navy, their families, their kids, living part-time here in Kiel. And we really have to give them the feeling they are welcome, they are safe, and they are just part of our local community. And as the public utilities, we have the trust in our municipalities. We are an institution that are trusted, and we have to work with this trust and make clear that there can be no question about solidarity with Israel, with the citizens, and with the security of Israel.
Thank you so much for the so important words that just emphasize the strong relationship that the nations already have in business and friendships. So thank you so much for sharing this. And I'd love to get your answer, Mr. Mindel.
Thank you. I think we have 2 points what we can do. The first point, Ulf Kämpfer mentioned it before. We have to stand up, we have to speak up in this situation, and we should give a clear signal that our Israel friends are not alone in Germany, and are not alone all over the world. And the second one is, I think we need in the next months events where we can bring our companies and the people of our companies together. And this is one thing the German Association of the Automotive Industry will organize. We have a technical congress next year. We have, especially for startups, our tech days. And we have the so-called IAA Transportation, the automotive show we organize. And I can invite all of you to come to Germany, to come to our events and work with us together on the solutions of the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much to each and every one of you for the great contribution, for the sharing your views, and definitely actions and avenues we can pursue working together. I believe we will send also an email after this session with some of the insights you've shared. And I really hope that in a year from now, we will have even stronger collaborations and more business opportunities than ever before. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Liron, for the excellent moderation of this panel, and also to all our panelists for being with us this morning to exchange some ideas of what we could do together to tell us and let us know more about what's already happening. Jürgen Mindel was a strong advocate of the amazing collaboration, following suit of what we heard before about what Mercedes-Benz, one of the leading members of the German Car Manufacturers Association, is indeed doing. And this was just one example of one company. Jürgen Mindel stressed that it's the whole industry that is so much into collaboration with Israel, and also what Ulf Kämpfer said, representing all these public utility entities across Germany, that innovation is much needed, and that the companies here in Germany are interested and willing and eager to cooperate more with Germany. So thank you very much for all your insights. And of course, also Shlomi, it was amazing to see you a couple of days ago here in Berlin, and we will surely follow up and find ways what Germany can do. So we are coming close to the end of today's event. It is a very special day, not only because it is 2 months exactly after the terror attacks of Hamas on Israel on October 7th, but it's also a very important day for all Jewish people around the world. It is the first day of Hanukkah. So let me, before I hand over to my dear colleague, Dr. Emmanuel Navon, who is the director and the CEO of our office in Israel, let me just say that with this forum and for today, we really hope that maybe some light will at least return to all of our lives, in particular of the lives of all people in Israel. And I wish you a lot of health and peace. God bless you wherever you are. And indeed, I couldn't say more than Chag Sameach. So, Emmanuel, please, the floor is yours for the concluding remarks of this forum today. From my side, I'd already say and conclude with thank you, vielen Dank, toda rabah, to all our partners, to all panelists, to the keynotes. And yes, we will send out, of course, on our website, all information about this event. The video will be available online as well. And if you'd like to find out more how you can contribute, how you can find contacts to Israeli counterparts for potential collaboration, we have our offices in Israel and here in Berlin to help you to find the right contacts. So please feel free to visit our websites, in particular the website of the German Israeli Network of Startups and Mittelstand, ginsum.eu, to get in touch with us. And please, let's take this only as a starting point. And by having said that, Emmanuel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Carsten. Danke. And congratulations to our team in Germany and in Israel for organizing this event. Carsten and your team in Germany, Geno here in Israel. And I think this cooperation goes to show the importance and the strength of our network. Having those offices, those ELNET offices around Europe and in Israel is really what enables us to strengthen relations between Israel and Europe to the benefit of Europeans and Israelis of our common values and common interests. And I think that especially as we are at war now in Israel, it is very heartening to have those meetings. We just had, Carsten was just here with a delegation here in Israel yesterday, and there were all the members of parliament from all the European countries. It is very important to us as Israelis, as we're fighting a very difficult war, to feel and see the support of our partners and our friends. But also, you know, last week I was in Berlin. We had the strategic dialogue between Israel and Germany. And to see this very strong support of the German political and military leadership, this mutual understanding and the importance of keeping an open channel of dialogue and discussion. It is important not only on the political level, but also on the economic level and in the fields of innovation. Because I think that what the current war between Israel and Hamas, but also the war in the Ukraine has reminded us of is that you can be a stable and successful democracy with a strong economy and still face at any time a geopolitical earthquake. It happened in Europe nearly 2 years ago with the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. It is the case today in Israel, where Israel also was surprised when it thought that it had deterred Hamas, and then we had to fight this war. And what we have to learn from that, I think one of the lessons has to be, how do you adapt your economy, your high-tech economy, and your innovation to this state of war? And I think that here we have a lot to learn from each other. By the way, there are other countries that are successful economies and that also are under constant threat. I think in particular of countries in East Asia, such as Taiwan and South Korea, very successful economies with technological innovation and the need to face determined and very strong enemies and military threat. I think that in order to prevail both in the war against Russia and against Hamas, and when I say against Hamas, it's also against its main backer in the region, which is Iran, it is important to show to our common enemies that we are united, not only politically, but also economically. In other words, the support that I mentioned before, the German government, but also the main governments in Europe and also the President of the European Commission sent a very strong message to those who've been trying to divide the West. It sends a very strong message to Putin. It sends a very strong message to the Iranians. But we also have to show that we are united not only politically, diplomatically, but also economically, that we continue to do business together, that we continue to innovate together. And this is also a very strong message that we have to send to the other side, which is why Elnet is planning as a network to organize a large conference in Europe in the spring in order to discuss the future, the post-war future, because it's important to win that war, and we will. But it is also important to plan the day after, together with our European partners, not only, as I said, diplomatically and politically, but also to have European businesses involved in the future of the Gaza Strip. And this is why this conference will bring together not only European decision makers, but also European entrepreneurs and industrial leaders, but also from the Arab world, also from the UAE, from Bahrain, from Morocco, from all those countries that have already normalized their relations with Israel, and hopefully soon also with Saudi Arabia. We need to have the business sector leading the future of the region, and we need to build on the normalization agreements known as the Abraham Accords between Israel and many Arab countries, because this is the way to the future. Hamas and its backers have chosen the way of violence and destruction. We must defeat them, but we must also rebuild a better future with those countries in the region that have chosen innovation, that have chosen stability, and that have chosen economic progress. And as Carsten mentioned before, this is indeed the message that the Jewish people conveys with the celebration of Hanukkah, which starts this evening, that when you're surrounded by darkness, you can always light a candle. And the more candles we are, and those candles, of course, it symbolizes the hard work of research, of innovation, of collaboration, to build a better future together. And so we look forward to doing this. As I said, our soldiers are still in Gaza, and tonight we'll be lighting the first candle of Hanukkah, and we all pray for the victory and the return home. But after that, we will have to rebuild a better future together, and for this, we need our partners, and we're glad to have you as partners. And as I said, we look forward to have you in this conference in the spring, which will likely take place in Paris. And I invite you to be in contact with Geno in order to learn more about this conference if you wish to be involved. And so I look forward to it. And again, I want to thank you all, to thank Carsten and his team in Germany, to thank Geno for organizing this conference, to thank all our speakers who were here today, including our board member in Israel, Daniela Abraham, and all of you. Thank you very much. And I wish you all, and I wish us all, a happy Hanukkah and a better future for all of us. Thank you very much, and danke schön.